Hey Valley View, you might remember last year the district decided to go on a hard ban with cell phones in the schools so that way we could focus more on our instruction. And then you also might remember that Sage Valley Middle School decided to go Chromebook free on Wednesdays, and it was so successful that we decided to scale that district-wide. And that inspired Lexi Zucker, who is a teacher in the Vallivue School District, to do a unit with her students on the rationale behind it. Lexi, would you mind sharing a little bit about who you are and your lesson?
Yeah, so my name obviously Lexi Zucker, and I'm a 7th grade ELA teacher here at Vallivue Middle. This is my 4th year here, and this year, since we did decide to go to no Chromebooks, I think with kids a lot of times they love to understand the rationale of why, especially middle schoolers. So I decided to be a really great way to kind of intro into the year, working on some our informative skills. That's our first unit. So understanding the rationale of why our school district, looking out for our kids' brains, are deciding to go tech free. And on our first one, actually kind of getting feedback from the kids is they really loved it. They felt they could focus better, and they felt that they were just kind of more, locked in. So as a teacher, what I've been doing is we decided to kind of work backwards. So understand the brain, understand, the frontal lobe, because that's super important, especially in development. There's a study out right now that kids are spending about an average of 7.5 hours a day on a screen.
Wow.
That's a lot, and that's huge development in their brain. So kind of having them understand maybe, and should be hyper aware of that too. So recognize that in themselves first, kind of taking quick notes, some vocabulary things, and then learning the structures about the brain. So we kind of went through, labeled them, what they do, and really trying to understand, again, the frontal lobe. So you can see a couple here that I have. But basically, so once they've kind of understood that, the whole goal is to kind of write a school newspaper, right, in class of, here's Vallivue School District, here's what they're doing, here's the rationale of why. So they could pick, emotional regulation, attention and focus, sleep patterns. So they could learn all these things of why you guys as a district, us as a district, are moving toward this no technology. So.
And by no technology, specifically, what do you mean?
So kind of obviously we have our Tuesday right now is a no Chromebook day. Okay. So all my kids this year, we're writing our drafts in our notebooks. We're pretty much doing everything just on paper. We're looking at our articles all on paper, and it's really trying to kind of step away from that, because Chromebook should be a tool, right? It's not the teacher, it's not me, and having them understand that they can problem solve, because with their frontal lobes and all this screen time, essentially what's happening is they're not exercising their problem solving, their critical thinking. Instead, it's kind of that visual where they're kind of rewiring their brains almost to a point of, they scroll through their videos and things like that. And so that's kind of their attention span. And so with no technology, what's really cool is their attention span, that kind of the neuroplasticity, retraining it to keep that attention with paper, which is really cool.
Right. And you said earlier that's going pretty well. The kids are appreciating it?
I think so, yeah. And I kind of ask always, okay, do you guys feel like you got a lot done today? And they're like, actually, yeah. They do. And so I noticed just from, my growth as a teacher this year, trying to move toward that, my kids from last year to this year, they are being way more productive in class than if they have, those distractions of a Chromebook with them.
And then you were also talking about 7.5 hours of screen time. Did you do an activity with the students that build self-awareness and how much screen time they're using?
Yes, I did. So at the beginning of kind of this little unit, I kind of had, 4 corners of my room, and I said, okay, if you're 1 to 2 hours, you're over here, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 8 plus, you guys are over there. I said, this is not judging, this is just seeing where we're at. And I mean, me personally, I said I'm about like 3 probably. So I just, in my personal life, I'm like, I'm gonna experiment with myself too. But a lot of our kids were in this half of the room with, 5 to 8 plus. So that study just in my own survey, it's kind of true. And so I said, just kind of think about this and why might that not be a great thing? And so we kind of had that class discussion, and then the more they learn, they're like, oh, interesting.
Interesting. They're taking a little bit more ownership of it. What does some of their research look like when they're looking into the rationale for no screen time? So
I gave them an article first, and so we just kind of read it, hit, sleep and the melatonin, because screens before bed, right? They stop that melatonin production. And so it was actually kind of cool too. I surveyed some kids, and a lot of kids have screen time where they have to put their, phones away at a certain time, which is cool. But that research, so we read the article, highlighted all the things, and then basically I said, think of what you're interested in. So they had to pick 2 focus points. So within those points, I said, okay, we're gonna use this article for our research. And then the only thing that we've done online with this assignment, I said, if this article does not answer questions, then we can look and use Google as, again, it's a tool.
Then you use that tool.
Yes, so that's how the appropriate use. If I can't find anything else in this, okay, now I can kind of start looking outwardly.
Right. Currently, the district is doing 1 day a week without students using Chromebooks. Next semester, it's going to expand to 2 days a week without using Chromebooks. Can you share a little bit about how, what kind of feedback you're getting from students on knowing that we're going to that?
Yeah, honestly, I think at first it's always that kind of panic reaction of, oh, my Chromebook, remember when they had to keep them here over the summer and things like that. And then I think once they kind of got into it, when I was talking to my students yesterday, I said, you know, that was our first No Chromebook Day. How did we feel? They felt a lot, again, more focused. They're like, I didn't have to worry about my Chromebook, where it was going. I could just focus on my binder. Their binders were lighter, so, you know, that was a plus. But I think, again, they really liked it. They were interacting with their peers more. I mean, again, they felt just a lot more focused because they don't have all this, you know, countless distractions that they possibly could have. And so I think overall they really enjoyed it. And I think moving to 2 days is, I think they will also kind of find themselves liking those days more because, again, as a teacher, I try to walk around and, you know, I'm talking and doing that. And then the kids can also kind of talk and interact and collaborate. And I think that model of education is really powerful. And I think the kids realize that and want that for themselves, even if they don't always know it. Now they're starting, I think, realize that. And that was just our first one. So,
have you noticed a difference as a teacher in your classroom, even though it's only been 2 weeks of school so far, about what that dynamic looks like? Any different from last year?
Oh, I think for sure. Like I said, they're just so much more focused. I think in class, you know, it's not, okay, turn your game off, or, you know, I don't have to be on Papara policing them, right? I'm not there to police, I'm there to teach them and collaborate with them and help them out. So again, I think that focus, we're practicing that, and they're, again, in their frontal lobes, right, our little science, they're able to start exercising that versus when that Chromebook. And I actually did a little experiment just for fun, but I had, you know, my English is all paper right now, and then I had my kids in literature read an article just online, highlighted, do all the same things, but my kids that were doing on paper are so much more productive and focused, and they got to do it way faster than my kids online. So I just kind of want to see from that, and then obviously just thinking about last year. So big difference. And then they like paper better, I think, too.
And the last question for you. This whole school year, we're experimenting as a district, having a big conversation as a district. What is your hope by the end of what you would like to see at the end of next school year when we do have a strong direction and conviction of what we're going to do as a district?
I think my hope is just building more like resilient students and students that aren't afraid of challenges and understand the tools and like how to use them properly. And I'm really excited for, just because of that focus, again, I'm really just kind of thinking of that focus aspect, that students, when they are focused, they get so much more done, and that they can be proud of themselves, and in turn, like, oh my gosh, I actually am good at school, and oh my gosh, I actually know how to problem solve. Oh my gosh, I actually can take some more ownership in my education, because, right, they can learn and do all the things which they're super blessed to do, but understanding the power that their brain actually has, and just honestly just bringing back power to the classroom, I think, is kind of my hope and goal. And that as a teacher, that I can just maintain being more productive and more interactive, and kind of at this project base, my kids are working toward a goal. And again, the work is just good, and they're just proud of themselves, and I want them to be proud of themselves.
Right.
So
thank you so much for sharing. We'll see how it goes, and I'm sure we'll report back to the district on how that effort's played out.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.